The Neewer Flapjack LED Bi-colored light is marketed to be a very efficient and very versatile light for all filmmakers and photographers. Now, this light seems to be copying a lot of the same features and the form factor and a lot of the same design elements to much more expensive lights from Falcon Eyes, but it delivers a product at a fraction of the price. This light costs less than $200. This is the largest one that they sell. The diameter of this light is about 1.5 feet or so, and that is pretty large. Now, I bought this light to replace my key light, which at the time was a Godox SL60W with a softbox. Now, the reason that I felt like I needed to replace that light was because of the size and form factor of the Godox light. It was really, really thick. It took up so much space, it was really hard to work with, and while I really did like that light, and while I still use it to this day, I just find myself struggling with it a little bit. And when you're producing videos on a regular basis, the last thing you want to do is feel like you're fighting with your equipment. And I was really hoping that this light would solve those problems. Did it do that? Yes and no. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my experience in the past 10 months or so with using this light, whether or not I recommend it, and what features I really like about this light and what I really think it's lacking. So let's start off with the basics. What can you expect when you purchase this light? What does it come with? Out of the box, this light includes a really big bag, and this bag is able to hold all of the accessories that come with this light. I really don't have much to complain about when looking at the bag. It's really simple. The zippers open really nicely. That's never been really a problem for me. Now, when you open up the bag, you'll see that this bag has a lot of space in it. There is a huge pocket in the front that I can keep a lot of different cables and a lot of different adapters. Sometimes I stick batteries inside of this front pocket. It is a pretty massive pocket. And because this bag is not a hard case, because this bag is able to stretch a little bit, I can stuff a lot of different items in here if I really want to. Now, the bag has a styrofoam interior that has these cutouts for the light to be placed in here securely. And honestly, it works just fine. It's not ideal. I do wish that this was a higher quality packaging option, and it's not even adhered in place. You can just pop it out and it can get lost or thrown around, and you know, it's not really that ideal, but it does work. And you know, when you're paying $200 for a light, those are the kind of sacrifices that brands like Neewer are willing to make. Most products at this price point don't even include a bag. They don't even include these types of accessories. And so for me, I really do applaud Neewer for including this bag in this kit, even though it's not really the best bag, and even though I do have a couple issues with it, it still works. It's very functional, and I'm happy enough with the quality of this product. I cannot say the same for the remote. While it is possible to use this remote and actually control your light with it, in practice, I find it really frustrating to work with. I don't know if it has something to do with range or interference, but honestly, in practice, this remote has been extremely unreliable. And it's also really flimsy. This remote is made out of really cheap plastic, and if you go to open up the back to be able to switch out the batteries, the entire motherboard is exposed, and I can actually very easily just bend one of these wires just by dropping it or brushing it against my leg. This remote has also started making noises that it didn't used to make. I wish that they would not have included this remote, and instead they would have just sold the light for $5 less. And let's talk about the power bar. You plug it in, it powers the light. What more is there to explain? And now onto the light itself. First of all, let's talk about the build quality. The build quality is excellent, and that is honestly really surprising. For someone who has used a lot of different Neewer products, sometimes their electronics are a little bit flimsy. They're a little bit to be desired, and I half expected to return this product right after opening up the box because I thought that maybe it was a lot of plastic or really cheap metal that was going to be in the construction of this thing, but it feels really sturdy. I believe this is an aluminum casing. This yoke is really strong. The screws that hold it in place are really big, and if I really wanted to, I feel like I could just throw this thing on the ground, step on it, and it would still live to see another day. I'm not gonna do that because, I mean, this is $200, but that's really impressive for a company that is known for making cheap Chinese lights and cheap Chinese products. But that build quality comes at a pretty high price. This light is not light. So if you haven't already invested in C-stands or heavy-duty light stands, you really should keep that in mind before going out and purchasing a light like this. Now, one of the features that I did not expect coming from a light like this is just how bright this light can get. I know that it's a fairly large light, but still, it's blinding. It actually outperforms the SL60W as far as brightness is concerned, and it's a bi-colored light, meaning whenever I'm using it in daylight mode, I'm only using half of those diodes that are available. My main gripe with this light are the controls. On the back of the light, you will find that there are 3 buttons: brightness, color temperature, and the channel. And there's also a wheel that you twist to be able to change those settings. And in practice, this works pretty well. But there is a flaw that I can't help but notice and I can't help but bring up, and it's something that I will call the 10-second rule. When you push a button to change the brightness or change the color temperature, it will blink on the screen for about 10 seconds. And in those 10 seconds, you're able to change the brightness or the color temperature, depending on what button you pressed, obviously. But after 10 seconds, that scroll wheel does nothing. It's a little bit of a hassle. Now, even though this is a bi-colored light, I don't really like how they add this feature in this product. It doesn't just add a little bit of orange or take away a little bit of blue. It really jumps and really leaps at changing the different color temperature. It seems like all of the white color diodes are just turning off and all of the orange ones are staying on. And I don't think that more expensive brands like Aperture, Westcott, Falcon Eyes, I don't believe that they would have those sort of issues when dealing with their lights. But here is my #1 issue with this light. It's too bright. For my YouTube videos specifically, I have used this light as my key light multiple times in the studio, at home, in my bedroom, and it does a decent job, but it's still really, really bright. I did not adjust any of my settings. I just turned off the Godox SL60W and I replaced it with the Neewer Flapjack light, and it does not look good. And that's at 1%. On the Godox light that I'm using as my key light, it's at 20%. I've had to modify this light and I've had to change it so that it's able to work well for me. Yes, you can go ahead and use tape, or you can go ahead and strap it down with Velcro ties or zip ties, but that looks really unprofessional, it's really messy, and it's really inconvenient. That looks hideous, but it does work, and I'll use it for now and come up with something a little bit more functional in a little bit. But for now, that's just gonna have to do the job, and I'm happy enough with it. But it does look like a really weird diaper. This light is marketed to be something that is nice and soft and something that you can tuck away in a corner and use in a really small room. But unfortunately, if you turn it on and you bring it down all the way to 1%, it still is way too bright. So yeah, even though this light is meant for smaller spaces and environments where you don't have a lot of room, I feel like you need a lot of room to be able to actually get the most use out of this light. And as months go by and I've used this light for a couple different projects in a couple different ways, I'm noticing less and less use cases for it. I'm noticing that there's not a really big clientele for this type of product, which is too bad. Everything about its design and everything about its form factor are things that I really do like. But in practice, it's just not working for me. I don't know about their smaller units. Maybe they are a little bit more versatile, and maybe this unit that I have specifically is presented with a lot of those design flaws. Maybe I just got a fluke. And if that's the case, go ahead and yell at me in the comments down below. And Neewer, if you want to send me a new one, that would be great. But I can't in good conscience recommend using this product, and I can't really back up the claim from Neewer that it is as versatile as they say it is. I think there's a lot of products at a similar price point from Godox, from Aperture, and even from Neewer themselves. They make some good quality stuff at times. But when it comes to this specific Flapjack light, I think it's becoming less and less of a bargain, and it's becoming more and more of a boat anchor. Anyway, that's just my opinion, guys. Take it or leave it. Let me know in the comments down below if you think this light would work well for you, or if you think that those design flaws are what's really holding you back from actually being able to purchase this light. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, ring that notification bell so you're getting those notifications, you know, do all that jazz. And I will see you next time. Take care.